A possible merger between the new Nigeria People's Party and Labour Party has been a recurrent feature of Nigeria's political landscape going back the last few months. Now, officials of both parties had admitted that talks were held at some point, but the matter apparently took the back seat when the NNPP's presidential candidate, Senator Abubakar, publicly dismissed the chances of his party playing a secondary role in any such coalition. But now those rumors have reemerged, and to help us get a grasp of the true situation is Abubakar Yesufu, who is a member of the NNPP's Presidential Campaign Council and Chairman League of Patriotic Lawyers. Good to have you on Newsday.
Thank you so much.
So this talk of this merger has been going on for quite a while. Can you put the rumors to rest? Is it happening? Is it not?
Well, it's an ongoing thing, and let me here now tell you this, that other than the Labour Party, my presidential candidate or my president, Ikoko, is ready to associate, so to say, any political party that can absorb or that can make the people his theme or ideology. It's not only Labour. He's watching keenly other parties, but the Labour appears to be the most, appears to be the closest to us in terms of ideology. So one thing should be very clear: we are not ready to play the second veto. If you know Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso very well, you will know that he has profuse, credentials. Two-time governor, Kano State, envoy to Darfur and worked on Somalia, minister, senator, and what have you. So let me make it very clear: it's not a do or die thing, but if you can really assure Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso that the poor will be rehabilitated, that our health care will be taken care of, and other things that are really debilitating the poor, I can tell you that Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso is ready to take the backstage, and he's ready to. But right now we are going on with the election. We are not thinking of any measure whatsoever. If he wins, he will be the statesman that he has always been. If he does not win, well, he will throw in his cap and he will relax with the greatest political decorum. As of now, we are not thinking of any measure, but we are pursuing our campaign. If I leave here now, I'm going to Ibadan on the 2nd. I'll be standing side by side with Rabiu Kwankwaso to conscientize the people. From Benin, we are going to Asaba, because the Kwankwasia movement, is an idea, whose time has come, finally. Kwankwasia represents an idea. It stands for an ideal. It represents an ideology. The idea is a new Nigeria. That's why it's called New Nigeria People's Party. The ideal is live and let live. And the ideology is total emancipation of mass and humanity to man. And we are pursuing this thing with a lot of gusto, and we are not about to turn around.
Absolutely, and we can see that. Now, there have been several projections, several polls that have been released over the past few months with regards to what could likely happen on Election Day, or rather post-Election Day. Your candidate, as much as he has been unanimously acknowledged as a strong candidate, has not yet emerged in any of these projections or polls as a frontrunner or a possible winner. My question to you is, having looked at that, is that a consideration in your openness to be willing to, you've said PDP and APC are possibly not your cup of tea. Is this why you are open to working with Labour Party?
Well, I've made it known to you in my opening remark that everything is on the table, and my principal is not desperate to be the president of the country, and at the same time, it's not desperate to allow the poor to go down the drains. It appears, rather contradictory, thesis and antithesis. He loves the poor so much that the issue of a merger is now at the back stage. And if I may tell you this, all the polls we have seen, we don't even agree with it. One weak in quote, of the Kwankwasia movement is that led by my boss, my presidential candidate, and by the grace of God, my president, is that he does not hog the headlines. Whatever he has done, he lives with the people. That's why people see him at times from the spectacles of, an Aminu Kano, because he is of the opinion that, come February 25th, we are going to win the election. And all these posts you have seen so far, I would want you to dismiss it as a sublime piece of mysticism and a high-sounding nothing.
Sorry, okay, that's great. You are entitled to your opinion, and that's completely fine. But I'm also curious. When there was speculation about the merger, we saw that it did not fall through because it was possibly leaked by the Labour Party. That was a few months ago. And we also saw that one of the reasons why that was frowned upon, or a merger was not being considered in the past, was because it was projected that Peter Obi would be the presidential candidate because he's from the Southeast, and it's time for the Southeast to, bring a president. So I'm just wondering, since now you're open to a merger, if those speculations are true, what's changed?
Well, like I told you, the major thing is not what is uppermost in our mind now. It's there. What is uppermost in our mind is for us to capture power, to be in Aso Rock, and really ensure that the ideology of Kwankwasia is made manifest. We are not, like I told you, we are not engaged any merger, but at the same time, we are not ready to play the second fiddle. Because the Labour will tell you that our party is no longer a party. It has grown into a movement that has no strength of its own, that is unwieldy, that has no, if you are home, they say, the masquerade, before the masquerade goes out to dance, you should be able to convince your home world that you dance very well. Labour is a good party, is the best, in terms of our relationship, but don't forget that in the Southeast, Labour Party has not been totally accepted as the way, our Kwankwasia movement is accepted in the entire North and even in the South. So how can, a man that has no strong support, for want of a better word, at home, come and lead a merger with a Kwankwasia movement? So our movement is resolute, our movement is strong, our movement is determined to seize power from this evil past that refuse to quit the scene. They want to dominate the present, they want to usurp the future. A Muzadek with the complexes of Gangatwa. A Marats that think that they believe that they are plateau. So what we are thinking about is going from state to state, schools, we are visiting schools, we are visiting market women and labor group. So I must tell you that the issue of a merger is there. We are ready to merge with whosoever is ready to imbibe our ideology. And that's why we're asking everybody, including the fourth estate of the realm that you represent, that all hands must be on deck. Like that man from Algeria, Francis Fanon, was born in 1923, he died in 1961. Said tomorrow or the future will have no pity for those people, including you and even myself, who possessing the exceptional privilege of being able to speak words of truth to their oppressors, but they are taking refuge in an attitude of passivity, mute indifference, and sometimes of good complicity. So whosoever is going to merge with us must identify with our ideology. Like I told you, Kwankwaso is ready and willing to merge with any group that's able to imbibe our ideology. And what is our ideology? People-oriented ideology.
Okay, Mr. Yesufu, let's take a look at the momentum of the campaign.
Yes.
Earlier you spoke a little bit about the acceptability of your candidate and the NNPP in the Southeast and in other parts of the country. The chairman of NNPP has described the party as the fastest growing party in Nigeria, and the NNPP state publicity secretary also recently made a statement that the party will shock and surprise people in Lagos State. Now, my question to you is, what parameters are you using to measure your growth and your acceptability if we are to shelve the polls and the projections, and you also say that you don't hog headlines, so we're also not getting a gauge of your support from the media? How are you measuring your support, and how can Nigerians understand the true power that the NNPP holds if it's not visible in any public space?
I'll tell you in a word or two. Poverty, hunger, and disease, PhD. what Fela will call PhD. The rate of poverty, the rate of hunger in Nigeria will tell you that we are going to be systematic in our approach, and we are going to be unyielding in our demands. Our followers, they are really poor. They are not in social media. You people don't even reach them. They don't watch our Rise News, but they are consistent. They know what we are doing. Even in Lagos, they are here. They don't have telephones. They are not in social media. One of the better one. So we are using that, that measuring rod to assess our strength. But because the bag of rice, you realize that about 5 years ago was less than 7,000. Today, bag of rice is 50,000. That's a part of our measurement. That's why Rabiu Kwankwaso, my leader, is not ready to, to come to the public space like the mainstream media and even the social media. His past work is actually speaking for him. And, we are not relenting, and we are not about to turn around. That we are winning this battle is not in doubt. Like the chairman just told you, like you explained, we are going to win this election. We are going to win it convincingly. So that's why we are not even following the polls. But we are trying to also educate the Nigerians that might be carried away by what I may call Aristides illiterate voter. That may be in a very subtle thing. Aristides was the hero of the Wapus War. He was known for his incorruptibility. He was very just. So much so that he arrived at Themistocles, initiated this famous ostracism, the idea of sending people out of the old Greek city-states. So as he was going to vote, he met an illiterate voter. Illiterate voter was determined to vote for the public opinion. He said, look, inscribe into this ostrich share the word Aristides so that I too will vote for his banishment. And the man asked him, has he ever offended? He said, no, but I hear people, social media, or the social media quote, saying that this is that and this is that. We don't want people to be misled. But like Aristides, illiterate voter, they inscribed into that ostrich share and he voted for the banishment of Aristides. 3 years later, as history will have it, Aristides was recalled back from exile when Zeze of Persia threatened with his Christian armada to dismantle the Greek city-states. And it's also in that same history that Aristides distinguished himself in the battles of Plataea and Salamis. This is Abubakar Yesufu Konkosia movement.
Great. So you've said it a couple of times during this interview that the NNPP is not looking to play second fiddle in a merger. Yeah. So what does the ideal merger look like? Because if you're going to approach a party or they're going to approach you, each party is going to try to project their own interests. Yeah. And that means that party might be playing second fiddle to NNPP. So how does this balance out if you're going to actually proceed with a merger?
The problem we're really having in the new Nigerian People's Party is that people don't know the man that represents Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso is not too known by the people how he stands. He's a man that is humane, full of sympathy and all that. Let me give you an instance. There was a day he was traveling from Abuja in a train to Kaduna. Whilst he was trying to enter the train coach, he lost one of the shoes, one of the legs. Rather than go, he just went to the window, took the other one and flung it through the window. When we now got to Kaduna, we asked him, Master, why did you do this? He said, whosoever finds it will get a pair of shoes. That shows you that he's so humanistic. He's not concerned, with his goodwill. Somebody that sold his properties to pay, school fees of people that are not even related to him. You don't need to be a northerner for you to enjoy Kwankwaso's goodwill. So he's there, and nothing more pretentious. We are very sure. That's why we are projecting him. We are taking him back to the people so that people will be able to realize what he stands for.
I'm so sorry, but you haven't answered what that merger looks like. Since you're saying you won't play second fiddle, what does it look like? What does that merger look like if you're going to merge with any party?
Yeah, I told you that the merger thing is not taking the front burner. What we are interested in now is winning that election. Whosoever is able to imbibe our ideology will emerge if we cannot get the requirement. But as it stands, but because we are not in the social and the mainstream media, you don't know our strengths. So merger is not what is uppermost in our mind. What's uppermost in our mind? To take the message back to the people that here cometh your Savior. It's going to be a difficult thing. But like I told you, we are going to come out victorious. Like our running mate to this man, to Rabbi Musa Kwankwaso, he's a bishop. And I met him some 2 hours ago. He said, this is tough. And I said, yes, Christ also passed through the same tough in corridors. But I'll assure you that, like Jesus Christ, Gethsemane, that suffered in Gethsemane, Golgotha, and even Calvary, Gethsemane will be conquered. Golgotha will be triumphed over.
Now, speaking of victory and triumph, the most recent this day election projection foresees a runoff. Yeah. And most political analysts do agree that the chances of a runoff are high. We may debate about what the numbers look like and who that runoff is between, but people generally agree that it's highly likely. Yeah. What does that look like for you? Do you anticipate an outright victory? Do you agree that there's a possibility of a runoff? Or do you feel that your candidate will win outright, first past the post?
Well, like Shakespeare would put it, we are ready for whatever happens. We are resolved on 2 points. If one fails, the other holds. But if both fail, your gaskin falls. That's been Shakespearean. If there's going to be a runoff, what is going to be our guiding principle?
Do you expect a runoff?
Yeah. Well, it's difficult because I would not say I'm a magician. If I don't believe in your polls that you have exhibited or paraded so far, why should I be? Because your runoff talk is flowing from your so-called...
From the statistics.
Yeah, so if there's going to be a runoff, Kwankwaso is also a very big Democrat. He's going to sit down with members of his executive, and everybody that's concerned, including myself. I'm a strong member of Presidential Campaign Council, and we are going to see a party that will best aggregate the interests of the commoners. When I say the commoners, people do not really know. They talk of, the talakawas and what have you. Yes, to an extent, they are.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, but your answer assumes that your candidate would not be one of the people in the runoff.
If there's a runoff, if there's a runoff, we are going to sit down together and see the party that best aggregates our manifesto.
Okay.
We will not align with that party.
Okay. Now, in the event that things don't go your way, because you've also made it clear that this is not a do or die affair. Yeah. What's next for your candidate?
Well, we'll go back. We have always been talking. We'll go back again and start conscientizing the people. You will now know that the people have not been well conscientized, because if you look at the commoner, philosophy cannot thrive without the common people, and the common people cannot thrive without philosophy. We know that they have not been well, conscientized. We'll go back to our drawing board and we'll start talking to the people. We start educating them that these two big parties, PDP, APC, they've not been able to, actualize your dream. And we'll now go back and tell them why those two parties should not be accepted. One, like I mentioned a while ago, the PDP is coming from the past with a broken moral compass. APC is a damaged brand. So we were left with two, NNPP and Labour. For Labour, they must allow their hubristic insolence to take the back stage and let us discuss very well. Like I told you, all depends on my leader, my teacher, and our presidential candidate.
You just said, I'm so sorry, you said hubristic insolence. So we're talking about Labour Party. So now you're hinting that you really want this merger.
Yeah. We know the talks were really up there, but because the conditions they were bringing forward, you cannot come to a table with a predetermined end that you're coming to the table. You must be the presidential candidate. You must bring that. If you want to discuss with my boss, you must come with an open mind. And over and above, you must also come with the people as the theme of your discussion. Again, nothing more pretensions.
Now, does the exit of Doyin Okupe from the Labour Party impact these discussions in any way?
Well, Okupe is a gentleman, but I'll tell you that it's not a plus for the Labour Party. That's why we are saying that, if you look at the New Nigerian People's Party, it's the only party that's been intact in terms of, integrity, in terms of ideology. not only do we have ideology, we can explain it. It's not enough for you to say, I will, make the middle class the engine room of growth, like what PDP is telling you, and thereafter they go back to, Dubai, and from their safe haven, they look at Nigeria and we'll be stewing in our own problem. Nor is it enough for you to say that we're going to turn the country from consumption to production. You must explain. If you meet Kwankwaso, if you read ideology, we'll say, we are going to fight insurgency. How do we intend to do this? Kwankwaso has been able to educate us that insurgency is divided into three parts. You have the religious insurgents, you have the political insurgents, and you have the criminal insurgents. Like the religious insurgents, they really believe that killing somebody, you end up inheriting 7 virgins when you get to heaven. So the political, insurgents, they believe that, they really use them to realize political objectives. While criminal insurgents, they are pure criminals. These things are not compartmentalized. They are intertwined and interrelated. So we have studied. We don't just come out and say, we're going to take the country from, consumption to production. We are going to, the engine room of growth is going to be the middle class and all that. Kwankwaso will go the length to explain to you how he's going to do this. And he has been doing that. If you go to Kano and you see the armada of roads, it will even make Wike green with envy. But he has not talked about it. He's so quiet about it. So we're bringing it to the fore gradually. But our problem is that we don't have, Obi says he does not have shishi. We don't even have kobo. You understand? So we are now trying to tell the people, come to Kano and see what Kwankwaso has done there. And you will marvel, you will be surprised. And like I will continue to say, whosoever is going to determine the victory come February, it's essentially the people. The people that will determine it, not your visionary. I'm not saying it's bad to look at whosoever is winning and all that, but we don't agree with it, and we are working hard to dispel this by winning. But whilst we are trying to dispel this and work towards success, if any party comes that conforms with our ideology, that is interested in, liberating the people. People don't know. They always say, the Talakawas will be liberated. No, it is rather the Talakawa that liberates the people. In order to make them liberators, you must educate them. If you've ever passed through the mill of people like Professor Igun Atufe, Professor Wagbafo, Professor Sagi, and recently,
we have 2 minutes.
You will be able to realize that.
We have 2 minutes, and
yes.
Just quickly, if you can.
Yeah.
When you mentioned earlier on that in the event that your candidate does not emerge victorious, you would go back to the drawing board,
yes.
To conscientize. So I'm probably not saying the word correctly, but this reminds me of the reason that the Third Force movement sprung up, which was supposed to be a departure from the APC and the PDP. And some analysts have said that the reason the Third Force is not thriving is because it ended up being Third Force, Fourth Force, Fifth Force, because so many parties were seeking their own agenda as opposed to coming together as one. So would you say that that's one of the reasons why you're considering a merger now? Because everything I'm hearing you saying is that the party you might consider merging with needs to conform with your ideology, yes. And not that you conform with that party's ideology. So this is somehow affirming that fact that the Third Force is actually divided because each one is promoting their own agenda. So what lessons do we take from this?
Well, the Third Force is not a political party. It's very fluid.
A movement.
It's a movement, and it has pettered into various parties. And that's why we are saying that we are not saying we will not talk, we will not have a talk. I mean, we are not conically rigid. What we are saying that whatever talk we're going to have is going to be people-oriented, people-centered, people-driven, and people-executed. And nobody is going to come there with any perceived, superiority complex. Whatever you are going to do is going to tally with Kwankwaso, ideology.
All right, so that's very well spoken, very nicely said. Thank you for shedding more light on the work that the NNPP is doing and the projections that you have made for the election that will be happening just in a few weeks. That's Mr. Abubakar Yesufu of the NNPP's Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.